Welcome to Ma, the multidimensional artisan woman and the talking stick. And today I have a very special guest, and I'm super honored to have her on this cosmic frequency. And it's my friend and beautiful queen goddess, Lila. And I want to start by giving her the center stage just to simply speak about herself, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, so that you can see what I see in her and feel her very, very potent medicine that she has to offer for the world. So I'm handing over the mic to my beautiful friend Lila. Welcome, and I'm super happy to have you in my space.
Thank you. And this is our first time ever meeting. We've done a lot of talking and connecting on WhatsApp, but this is our first time meeting face to face, even though virtually.
Yes.
But my full name is
Yes.
Maya Lila, and it's a Sanskrit spiritual name that I've taken on. I took that on in 2013, but it means the game of God playing human. And this is the game that I want to live, is just like reclaiming our divinity and being fully divine and fully human at the same time. And I feel like the world right now is such a perfect setup for the challenge of it's so easy to forget because our society says spirituality isn't real, intuition isn't real, God isn't real, ancestors aren't real, all that stuff is woo-woo. And so we're living in this schizophrenic society that's based on this lie of materialism and separation. And some of us are crazy enough to remember and attempt to live in the truth that seems crazy to a lot of people. And so that's what I feel like I'm here for, is to be a weirdo and to be this like very kind of fringe person as far as in how far I go in listening to spirit and following my intuition. But also just as a reminder to my friends, to my clients, to the world, of like the woo-woo is real, spirit is real, God is real, ancestors are real, angels, all this shit is real. And it's time for us to wake up to that, the reality of this reality, which is more than just the material world. So I work with, I do somatic movement therapy that gets you in your body and helps you work with the energies of emotion and all the messy darkness of being human. And I work with women. I'm a feminine radiance coach. And I help women to reclaim that divine spark and that divine luminescence that is what we're here to exhibit as women. But again, most of us haven't been modeled, a healthy femininity or what it is to really relax into womanhood. And I had to learn that the hard way myself. I was very masculine, very toxic masculinity. Don't show emotion. Don't be weak. Don't be vulnerable. So it's taking me many, many years to really come back into my body and come home to myself and learn what it means to exist as a woman in this world and the magic of that, which we were just talking about, the Queen's Code, which is a book that I read earlier this year that changed my life. And then 2 weeks after reading that book, I met our mutual friend Ra, who introduced us. And I'm finding that I finally feel like I've stepped through the looking glass and realized like, oh, it's actually really easy and fun if we just let ourselves relax and like be a woman and be ourselves and be authentic and be in our pleasure and our desire. And then like the universe starts to just bring you all of the delights and all of these beautiful, all the things that we've always wanted and longed for and tried to figure out how to get with our mind. It's like, oh, if you just relax and receive, they come to you and you just get to enjoy. So I just popped into that level of, and it's been a lot of fun.
Beautiful. And maybe you want to tell us a little bit about your story and how, just a summary, but how, where do you come from? Where do you come from? where are you now and where do you want to go?
So
So that people really, yeah,
go ahead. So people really,
handing over the mic,
okay. Um,
understand, like feel who is Maya Lila, like why Maya Lila, who was the person before Maya Lila,
mm.
and where does Maya Lila want to go?
So I was born and raised in Southern California in the United States, and I was very Catholic. I was like a super religious kid. I was also into anything like esoteric, UFOs, anything spiritual, Egypt, ghosts, like anything esoteric, I was fascinated by. And yeah, I was deeply religious, deeply spiritual, really had this longing to be the highest version of myself and live this ideal lifestyle, like according to my own values of honesty and goodness and integrity, and kindness. And as I got older, I looked around myself in the church and saw that, a lot of people didn't care. Like they didn't care about really getting to know God, or they didn't really care about doing the right thing, like not lying or not cheating, or, these things that humans do. And so I became really disillusioned with the church. And I thought about becoming a nun, and I realized, like, no, like that's not my path in this lifetime. I need to figure out my own path. And so I left the church in my late teens, early 20s, and I was lost for a while. I drank a lot, I danced a lot. But eventually I found a spiritual path. I found meditation, yoga, and really began going into spirituality through my body, also using psychedelics. And so I really devoted myself to my own spiritual path for now it's been a few decades. But I had a big heartbreak in 2009 that kind of like decimated my reality because I met my soulmate and we both knew it and we thought we'd be together forever. And then when it ended, I was just like I didn't know how to trust myself ever again. And I was just devastated for many, many years. But that really broke me open and sent me on my full spiritual path where I left the United States. I moved to Argentina. I studied Kundalini yoga extensively. I moved to Italy. I lived in an ashram for a year. And it was at the ashram where the spiritual name came to me. And for me, it's a reminder and a mantra for myself to remember my true self, but it's also a reminder for other people who meet me. I feel it's like a kind of like a secret code that I'm like planting this seed, even if I don't explain the name. And yeah, I've really struggled through my life. Like I was an alcoholic in my 20s and just very lost and confused. And I've overcome a lot of shame and trauma and fear and my early childhood was pretty ugly. My parents hated each other. Earliest memories, my father trying to kill my mother by choking her. Another time he was threatening to kill my mother, and he took me to Skid Row in Los Angeles and drove me around and said, you're gonna be an orphan and you're gonna live here on Skid Row. So this is where you're gonna be living after I kill your mother. And so in my late 20s, early 30s, I realized, that I had this deep, deep trauma that I really wanted to heal. I wanted to get to the bottom of. And I understood my parents' dysfunctions and why they did what they did. But it took a long time to get down far enough into my body to get underneath the roots of like the shame and the terror and the grief. And you were talking about, our light side and our shadow side. And I feel like I've finally come to the place where I see my shadows and I'm able to love them and be like, oh, like, okay, this is your jealous, insecure side. And like, that's totally understandable that you get insecure and you're afraid of losing somebody. And like, and I still love you and it's okay for you to be here. And like really just coming home and letting all of my emotions find a home in my body has been deeply transformational, where I no longer have these shame patterns running my mind, running my decisions. Um, yeah, so that's a bit of the story of Maya Lila.
Beautiful. And I also know that you have two daughters and that the way you're raising them is, in my eyes, amazing. The New Earth way, and that you also had a complete conscious conception like me. So I think that that is also super, super interesting for you to just tell a little bit of the story of how you became a mom and what did change in you becoming a mother and how that helped you maybe in integrating and coming more into your body and integrating more of those aspects that you're just saying, because I feel that becoming a mother is one of the biggest initiations that a woman can go through
Yeah.
and is really the opening of connecting with that primordial force that we are, that creative force that we are. So that would be also for me super interesting to hear again, because I'm just fascinated with how you're doing it and how you did it. Is just wow, such an example for me and also for other women. So I really wanted you to tell that story, if that's fine with you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate your honoring and your seeing me in my crazy journey because it's a crazy story. Right now we are living in Thailand. I left the United States in July of this year with my two daughters, and now we're traveling. So we lived in Italy for a bit, Greece. Now we're in Thailand. We're moving to Vietnam in a few weeks, then maybe Bali. So I've always wanted to travel, and I always saw myself traveling with my daughters, with my children, because I don't think there's a better education really for a child than to see the world and be exposed to different cultures, different foods and music, and different frequencies, because different places have different frequencies. Um, but so going back to my conception story, my daughter Shasta came to me and her father separately and told us that she wanted to be conceived by us, as with us as her parents. And he and I were not together. We had met at a shamanic meditation circle. Um, and I didn't really like him. Like I wasn't really attracted to him. I wasn't magnetized to him. He's an amazing person, but there's definitely we've killed each other in past lives. Like the first time he was doing some body work on me, and he put his hands on my shoulders, and I felt this like cord, like someone was choking me from behind. And it was like I had this flash of a past life where like I was a witch or something, and he was like a knight, and he was ordered to kill me. And I've killed him also. Like we've killed each other. Um, but so Shasta, yeah, our daughter made it clear that she wanted to be conceived with us as the parents. And so we decided to say yes, even though we had no plans to be together. At the time, I was kind of nomading around the Pacific Northwest. I'd been living in Italy for the year prior at an ashram and then had come back to the States, and was just, yeah, just kind of wandering wherever spirit led me. And so she was conceived on Mount Shasta, which is a sacred site in Northern California. And yeah, he was seeing all kinds of things like aliens, spirit beings, like ascended masters, like he was seeing a whole audience around us. And I was like, okay, I'm glad I'm not seeing any of this because that's pretty intense. And I wasn't even sure I could get pregnant because I was 34 at the time and I'd never had a pregnancy scare, never had an abortion. So I was like, okay, like intuition is telling me this, but like, I don't even know if I can get pregnant. Like, I'll say yes, but we'll see what happens. So I got pregnant, and he asked if I wanted to be in a relationship, and I said no. And so I was kind of just on my own. And somebody asked me at the beginning of the pregnancy, where does the baby want to be born? And Maui just came out of my mouth. And Maui is one of the islands in Hawaii. And I'd never been there. I didn't have a ton of money to just go rent a house in Maui. And I was terrified of the idea of going to Maui on my own. But I'd met a woman in Mount Shasta a few months prior to Shasta's conception. And she was the first woman I'd ever met who was free birthing. Like she was just living on Mount Shasta, hiking every day, super fit, 7 months pregnant, like didn't go to any prenatal care. And I remember when she told me that, I was like, is that legal? Like I just felt like it had to be illegal to not go to get prenatal care because I'd never heard of a woman not going to the doctors, like in the Western world. So she just
Yeah.
blew my mind
That's
open.
how pre
What's that?
Yeah, that's how programmed we are, right? It's still nowadays, just a side note, to be birthing at a hospital implies that there's something wrong with you, like if you would be sick or something, right? So it is such a deep programming that we as women have that it is dangerous to birth, that when we hear somebody rebirthing or wanting to birth at home, it's like we project all of the fears onto that person.
Yeah.
So why I want you to tell the story is because I really, really feel that the society will only change when we allow the babies that are coming in now to be birthed safe spaces where they're not pumped full with medication and vaccines, and specifically, and more important than that, because those beings are super advanced, but more important than that is that we as women take back our right to be connected with our body, our power to know that what we're doing. And I really think that this is something that will change society when we women recognize who we are and connect back with our ancient wisdom and our ancient body. So I just wanted to take that side note because it is the normal way. Yeah, that's the normal way how women did it for I don't know how many years. The
Yeah,
not normal way is to have to do it in a hospital, right?
absolutely. Yeah, and I'm
Yes, continue, please.
yeah, I'm a massive proponent of free birth, and a woman having like taking back her sovereignty and saying, I know my body best. My body knows what it's doing. This baby knows what it's doing. And that's the thing is that I already for years, I knew that the Western world birth was wrong. Like just the idea of making women lie down to give birth, like that's insane because you're fighting gravity. Like, why would you want to stand up or like be on all fours? And that just logically never made sense to me. And I know too that like when we interfere with nature, there's always an unintended consequence. And so all of these things that we think are helping in birth are actually causing the problems that then the medical industry saves you from. And it's this whole like horrible thing, and whether or not it was created with ill intent or with men who are just trying to, save women or whatever. There's different theories on that, but yeah, I just knew that I was so strongly connected to my intuition and my body and to this baby. I was like, well, I feel like this baby isn't coming here to die. She was very clear. She wanted to be born with us as the parents. And just feeling into the birth, I didn't feel like it was my time to die either, but I confronted my fears of death and the potentiality. I mean, we can die at any time. More
Mm.
people die in car accidents than in childbirth, but just looking at that fear of death and saying, okay, like this is a possibility, which again, like you can die anywhere on earth at any moment. And is that going to stop me from doing what I feel is right for my body and my baby? And the answer for me was no. Like it's not worth it for me to put myself in a situation where I don't have the choice to, do whatever I feel like doing in the moment when I'm giving birth. Like they will strap you to machines and do all these things that inhibit a woman just being able to follow her intuition. So I did a ton of research during the pregnancy. I read so many books, listened to all kinds of podcasts, found women who had free birth, which this is 2014. So there was a few books at the time, but it was not really a thing. There's now a community called the Free Birth Society, and they have a podcast with like at this
Yeah,
point
I know that.
thousands of stories. And I was the third,
Yeah.
the third podcast. That podcast started after I gave birth to Shasta, and I was the third podcast like story.
Oh,
But
wow.
that's now a movement of women who are reclaiming like their power and their sovereignty. Um, and Yeah, I feel like, I mean, I know that the way humans are being born prevents them from becoming the highest version. You know, it can prevent them from becoming the highest version of themselves as quickly as they could. Because when you interrupt the birth process, there's all kinds of things like oxytocin and like your gut microflora. Like if it's a cesarean, like there's so many things that are just disrupted that a human baby expects to have instinctually. And when all of these needs aren't met, then you know the system is thrown into chaos, and then you grow up into a neurotic adult, and then you need to do all your healing work. So yeah, I think women taking
Yeah,
back power.
the most important thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's so sometimes you're a little bit off, so excuse us if the stream is not 100%, but we're talking from one part of the world to the other. What I wanted to say, what you just said, I wanted to add that I've done the same. I have done massive research before birthing at home. Am I Diana? I have also listened to the Free Birth Society podcast a lot. And the thing that most struck me was that when a baby is born, the um, how do you say the navel? And I can't think of
Umbilical
the word
cord.
now.
Umbilical cord.
Yeah, thank you. The umbilical cord, after birth, after having given birth, the blood that is coming from the mother to the baby's blood that it needs to survive,
Mhm.
still takes up to from 1 to 3 hours to completely flow into the baby. So what happens when right after birth, this umbilical cord is cut, that the baby sometimes is left with up to 3 liters missing blood. 3 liters of missing blood.
Mhm.
This is huge. It's a tiny mini baby. 3 liters is a lot of things.
Mhm.
So what happens with if you miss 3 liters of blood right from birth? You're more open to diseases.
Mhm.
You're missing blood is life force. You're missing 3 liters of your life force, which
Mhm.
is so big. And not only that, but also what you told, the oxytocin, which is the love hormone,
Mhm.
which is naturally exchanged between the mother and the baby. So it's not only that the baby's missing this hormone, but also the mother, specifically if she receives it artificially. So what happens if the baby and the mother do not have this exchange of the love hormone, that the baby comes without this huge infusion of a cocktail, not only oxytocin, of a cocktail of hormones that would help them to be from birth a happy, loving person.
Mhm.
But if you don't have that, what happens that from birth you're automatically a narcissistic person, and that's what they want to create: robots with
Yeah.
no feelings, and it's not their fault. It's simply they didn't receive the big cocktail of hormones that nature gifts us with during birth.
Mhm.
And this automatically makes it possible during birth and during the birth portal for interdimensional beings and entities to step in. And this makes it also open that all the shit that we inherit also from our ancestors, the transgenerational patterns,
Mhm.
the karma, all of that, if the birth is not anchored in this pure love frequency, all of this can come in. This
Mhm.
is why it is important to inform women, and for women like you to speak up, and for women who want to become a mother to do the prior work before becoming a mother and connect with their femininity, connect with their radiance, connect with their power, so that they can hold the energy of the baby and they can prepare the circumstances for those beings to be born, anchored already in the new earth grid, where all of these karma, transgenerational patterns, diseases simply do not exist. They cannot come in. But for that, the parents, both masculine and feminine, need to be prepared. This would be like the ideal.
Yeah.
But more important is the woman,
Yeah.
because we are the portal. And if we are anchored in our security, in our radiance, in our love, and in the new earth grid, then this baby can come in and have a completely different life that we cannot still really envision how it is to be born in a pure love reality.
Mm-hmm.
But in that reality, fear does not exist. And those beings that are coming now, and I'm a portal guardian, I have contracts with a lot of them. Um, they come with the masculine and the feminine integrated, and they come with avatar consciousness. So all of the beings that are being born right now are one consciousness. So
Mm-hmm.
this is why they will not. I see that in my daughter. My daughter has no um, difference between me being her mom, I'm her guardian, or somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
She and a lot of women who hold her are like, this is so weird. I feel like she's my daughter. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
because she is your daughter. The
Mm-hmm.
baby that you will have one day has the same consciousness as her. This is why you see your daughter in her, because they come already with the oneness consciousness. Like in the ancient tribes, where when you ask a child, who is your mom, they look at you like, who's my mom? Everyone is my mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is where we're going.
But I just want to pop in because when I was pregnant with both of my daughters, the whole time, because I didn't have ultrasounds or anything like that. And so the whole time I would ask, like, are you a boy or a girl? And they would say, yes, yes, I'm a boy, yes, I'm a girl. And so, like, especially with Shasta, my first daughter, I was like, okay, am I having a hermaphrodite? Am I having twins? Like, one's a boy, one's a girl? Like, what the fuck does this mean? And it really because my intuition was so strong for it to say yes, I'm a boy, yes, I'm a girl, always was weird for me. And then at the end of the pregnancies, they both were like, I'm a boy, and then they came out girls. And I feel like they were just kind of fucking with me of like my desire to know like boy or girl, like pick a gender. And I also kind of feel like it's a quantum thing where the gender isn't even
Exactly.
fully fixed until it's observed, like either through ultrasound or when the baby comes out. So they could be born as a boy or a girl. It's like particle in a wave. Yeah.
Yeah, that it comes, this is also the information exact what I'm receiving, that it really depends on the decisions of both parents and on the circumstances of the birth up until the very, very end, if it's a boy or a girl.
Yeah.
And also, the placenta is we all come in twins. That's my theory. We all are a twin.
Okay.
So the placenta is always the spiritual or the other baby that has um, kind of given itself, sacrificed itself for the other to be born.
Yeah.
So the placenta is the boy or the girl that didn't come.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
And yes, so this is also something that is super important to value that and recognize that the placenta is the tree of life, the mother cake. It comes with so much medicine. I mean, it's being sold for $50,000. The placentas of every woman in the hospital is being sold for $50,000. Can you like believe that? And they're not allowing you to take the placenta because they know how important it is to value, to respect the placenta, to how much potent medicine you can make and with it. And yeah, there's just so much things that are going on that are just horrible um, in this society that we need to change and that we need to be informing women with about.
And that happens by us each listening to our intuition and like following the guidance within, because like the guidance within is what will lead us to the truth and to what's right for us. And it doesn't matter how many lies there are and manipulation and all the dark shit and whatever. It's like if you're connected to your heart and your body and your intuition, you know immediately, oh no, that's bullshit. That's a lie. They're doing this. Like I know immediately so many, and even when I was younger, I'd be like, no, like they're lying. And then a few years later come out, oh yeah, this company was lying and blah blah. But the placentas, so with Shasta, my first daughter, I was called to consume half of the placenta immediately after the birth. And like I made a smoothie. We were in Hawaii, so like pineapple and mango and stuff. And then I buried the other half. I was told to bury the other half in the Iwa Valley. And the Iwa Valley is a vortex on Maui, and it's a sacred site, but it also has a lot of darkness because it was where a lot of wars were fought between the Hawaiian tribes. And I was told, again, I didn't know any of this when I was told to bury it there. I was just told to bury it. I was like, okay. But I was told later by other people, oh yeah, that's a vortex and there's a lot of darkness. And the message I got was, you're part of why you're burying this placenta there is to bring light like to this valley. And then with River, who was born in Oregon, I was not called to consume the placenta. But I buried the entire thing on Mount Shasta, where Shasta was conceived. And Mount Shasta is also a sacred site. And so yeah, I think it's for me, it's meaningful to know that, and I never heard this what you're saying about it being like another baby in a way that has sacrificed itself. But I strongly felt called to bury it and to honor it. And I love also that, a part of me and my daughters are anchored in these places on earth.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. A lot of tribes to also plant it underneath a tree.
And I buried it
And it
under,
says that then this tree,
yeah.
okay, super. This is the intuition. This is also the so that they can live on through the tree, and this is also then the symbolic for the tree of life of the living baby and the abundance and all of that. So just to give you an idea, maybe you want, if you are becoming a mom or you're pregnant right now, to think about what you want to do with placenta. And it's your right to get the placenta, bring it home. If they tell you no, there is so much on the internet where you can find your right. And if you want to reach out to me, I can send you a woman who is very big in and put together a whole package of birthrights of women, so that you are prepared if you decide to be in the hospital, so that you have the rights ready and your birth plan ready, so that they cannot interfere in for you to be able to move, not to give you any medications or the baby any medications, for you to take the placenta. So if you're interested, hit me up. I'm gonna send you the link to that amazing woman. She specifies for melanated women, because in America a lot of melanated women even die during birth. So it's super important. And for Spain, or if you're in Europe, I mean, for Spain, I have done a lot of research. I have prepared myself in case I need to go to the hospital. I have prepared myself a lot so that I can take my placenta, so that I can birth the way I want. But in the end, I birth here 2 meters away from where I'm sitting on the floor. So yeah, but it's super, super important. And if you could give a tip, or if you could say somebody who wants to become a mom, somebody who wants to um, step into their next phase of becoming a mother, if you could give them one tip to prepare themselves, what would it be?
One tip that's hard, because I mean, the first tip that I would say is to make space to connect with the spirit baby and start to have the connection and the conversations of like, is there somebody that wants to come down as, through my vessel? And developing a relationship and a conversation with that spirit, because I think for me that was the main thing that gave me the courage to free birth, was knowing that it wasn't just a body, my body and a baby's body. Like there's a soul behind that. There's a connection to the divine. And that gave me a lot of courage and strength, like throughout the pregnancy and throughout the birth. And even now as a mother, like I always just remind myself, like this being is on its own soul's journey. And I'm here to support whatever that is, whatever that soul's journey is. It's not about, I want my child to be XYZ, or I need to make sure that da, 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 da. It's like, no, like they're on their own journey and I'm here to support that. And I don't have control ultimately over, we pretend like we have control over birth, over life, over death, and we don't. And so I think it's important to connect to spirit and have that be a consistent part of who you are in order to function correctly, and not just live in fear and terror and then hand over your power to people who you think are going to save you or protect you from what you're afraid of. So,
If we take what you just said, also for women who don't want to become a mom, but want to birth in general, anything, projects, themselves, their highest self, it applies to not only birth, but for that too. So in your Radiance program that you're offering now, how do you work? Like, what are the steps, and what is your medicine? What is your magic? I wanna get a taste of it.
so the I feel like to be a woman who's connected to her radiance, you have to feel safe in your body. You have to be in your body and you have to feel safe in your body. And you have to understand that your pleasure, your desires, your dreams are the most important thing as a woman. They're not like side notes to life and work and career and raising kids and being a partner. It's like, no, those are like the actual most important things that we often just abandon, especially as mothers. Um, and so my magic is mostly in, again, being fully divine and fully human. So like keeping that higher perspective of like, there's more than just this material reality. There's also a divine reality. There's our higher self. There's our spirit guides. There's so much that we can't necessarily, not all of us, some of us can see it, but most of us can't see it at this stage in consciousness. And so that keeping that higher perspective of like, okay, there's more going on here than meets the eye for most of us in this world. But also getting into the body and doing somatic practices that help you, especially as women who, a lot of us have been through trauma, through abuse, and have disassociated or have nervous systems that are totally fried and we don't feel safe in our bodies. If we want to live as the highest expression of ourselves, we have to come home to our bodies and we have to feel safe.
Okay, so how do you do that? Can we get a taste of it?
Sure. So for
For the
the
ones that we're going to listen to it, just to feel like how do you do that? Like the practical way.
So the practical way, my favorite technique that I've discovered is called kindred meditation. And it's a form of intuitive, dynamic, non-sexual tantra, basically. It's a partner meditation where you and another person go back and forth as sender and receiver of different emotions. And how you send the emotion is just through your movement. And so you're in your body, maybe you're feeling peace. And so you let yourself fill up with peace, and then you just move with it and you just enjoy the feeling, and your partner is mirroring you and they're seeing you experience peace. So they're starting to feel it more in their bodies because it incites their mirror neurons. And it's this really deeply profound way of seeing another person, of being seen, of being present together, and being in the body where you're safe. Like you're not going to be judged. No one's going to make fun of you. You're safe to to be in your body and enjoy whatever emotion is coming up. And there's also techniques for dealing with the challenging emotions like grief, fear, heartbreak, anxiety, anger, where we move those energies with our bodies instead of just like tensing up and like not breathing. When we move with those energies, it becomes pleasurable. Even the pain becomes pleasurable because you're moving the energy, and like energy in motion, emotion, that's what it is. And so this practice has changed my life in that it's helped me become more comfortable with vulnerability and intimacy and like being witnessed by other people, but also, again, just being in my body and letting myself relax and feel and express without judgment, without trying to block it or stop it from happening. Like I used to not cry in front of people because I was taught, you don't cry or I'll give you something to cry about. And so in this practice, you're allowed to cry if that's what comes up. You're allowed to feel good. You're allowed to feel afraid. And by moving the body, it gets us out of the freeze response. Because most, especially women, we don't go into fight necessarily. We go into freeze where we just, we try to become immobile and like as small as possible. And so again, when you're feeling emotions and you're moving your body, it just starts to break up that freeze trauma response, and you're able to fully come home and start to access greater pleasure, greater pleasure and greater presence.
Wow, that's beautiful. I love the mirroring effect. That's big actually. If you consider yourself that all the emotions are stored in our water body, yeah, in our plasma body.
Mhm.
If the movement, and which is also the dancing, this is why dancing is so important at these times. We're not only dancing, we are literally opening up um, our geometric structure, our energetic field, the cells in our body where these memories are stored for be able to release. So dancing, movement is so important right now. And the mirroring thing is very interesting because everything that we perceive in our reality is showing us something, and it's triggering something in us, a response. And we're like tuning forks. This is why it's so important as well to come together so that my frequency, my information in my water body can start to resonate with the one in yours. So if you are a radiant embodied woman who is resonating already in that embodiment of the true love that you are, everyone who will come into your field will start to resonate in that frequency as well. It's amazing. So how does it look like? How does the program look like? How long is it? Um, how can we get in touch with you and to see if it would be something for us? Tell us a little bit more about that.
So it's a 13-week container, and we'll be meeting on Zoom once a week. And there's so much. Again, there's so much to go into around the body, around pleasure, around what it even means to be feminine, because it doesn't mean, wearing heels and putting on lipstick necessarily, unless that gives you pleasure. But yeah, there's so much to relearn as women, and it's all, like you're saying, it's all in our bodies. Like we know this innately. It's just been covered up by the conditioning, by the fear, by the trauma. And so we're going to start in early February. And this is the other aspect that I love, because I've worked one-on-one with people, which is as a projector, I love going deep with somebody. And I feel like, we don't really change for the long haul unless we have community, unless we have other people who are doing the same reprogramming, jumping timelines work that we are. Because if you're isolated and you're trying to get yourself up to the next level and everyone else around you is still down here, it's very challenging. It's possible, but it's very challenging. And women just have so many codes for each other and so much wisdom that, again, sometimes we don't have space to let it shine and let it out. And so I'm really excited about the community aspect. There'll be 13 women for 13 weeks. And so I find in programs that I've done, I love doing programs and expanding and learning and growing, but oftentimes the most meaningful part is the connections that I've made with other women or other people doing the programs, because those are often lifelong friendships, and you're able to hold each other as you're dying and being reborn into a new version of yourself.
Beautiful. Yes, and I do feel that really the are meant to be coming together right now are coming together specifically as us women and the doulas that we are, helping each other birth ourselves anew, birth our dreams, birth star seeds, birth projects. So right now, 2025 for me, it's really about coming together and supporting each other, opening up to support, because we as star seeds have been on a lone wolf journey for many years. I know that you have as well, been doing the inner work by yourself, all alone. And for me, for example, I had a big sister wound as well. I needed to heal, of being stabbed in the back by other women, being yeah, thrown out of the community for showing and shining my light. And this has been coming up very strongly for me. And I've just recently been real life stabbed in the back again. But it really helped me to take this last step of saying, okay, wow, thank you. It was the last narcissist I needed in my life to understand the value that I hold, to not let me be treated like that anymore, and to open up to really value myself and let only those people in who are going to support me in my mission, who are going to support me in my healing, the way that I do as well. So I feel that this is the vibe of for 2025. And if somebody's going would be interested in coming into this container, how would it work? Like, do you do a pre-call, or how does it work?
Yes, yeah, I have a free connection call. It's basically an embodied radiance call where you get a taste of a session and my energy and how we'll work and play together. And so it's a free 45-minute session. And yeah, I can be found. I'm most active on Instagram, and it's my full name, Maya Lila di Vento, Vento. And yeah, I'll send you that link and you can
So
stay.
I'm gonna put it in the description.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love having these conversations.
Beautiful, nice. Yeah, I just wanted to, yes. Well, we have so much to talk about that I think that there will be definitely a part two, because we've gone through a complete different topic. Well, not complete different, but we wanted to talk originally more about the masculine and feminine, and the balance between those two. Also, the balance between dark and light, because that's also a topic that is coming up right now, I feel, for many of us, also for me, which is embracing my dark goddess, my dark aspects as well, not rejecting them, being aware of them, and not being ashamed of them. And if you step into that power of saying, okay, yes, I can manipulate very well. I'm a master manipulator, but I choose to use it for the highest good of all and not for to fuck you over. But I'm aware of that. Yes, I have those flaws. So what? You too. We are all human. We have this dark side and we have the light side, but you can use your demons to be working for you and not to be working against you or against others, even worse.
Yeah.
So I'm in that moment right now, of my life, to own what I am in complete wholeness. And the energy that allowed me to step into that was the stopping energy, really to stop and I feel that stepping into your feminine is really important to stop doing, because we're, especially as single moms, used to be doing all the time, do. And the moment I allowed myself to say, you know what, I'm done, I'm just gonna chill my life for a while. So I went off social media for 3 weeks. I started a rosemary diet with Guaido, with a beautiful sister as well. And I started to connect with the rosemary deva, which, as the name says, rosemary is a energy that, for me, is the plant that is really the closest to the cosmic mother and to the divine feminine. And it has changed my whole life. And it has opened my eyes as well to the importance to connect back with nature, because nature is the one who is also on a very, very fast track of change right now, and we as women need to synchronize with that change, and that happens when we connect with nature. With that, how does that go? Connect with plants, start planting, even if it's on your balcony, some plants. Go out in nature every day, put your feet on her, connect more with your animal friends. And for me, it was really has been a transformative journey, this 12 days of connecting with this amazing spirit, to recognize that I am already whole the way I am, to allow myself to receive, to open up to receive, and to allow myself to radiate, no matter how I want to radiate in every moment, which is, I think, very important as well, that we do have good days, we do have bad days, and even after your enlightenment, you still have to do the dishes. So to really bring this whole new age thing of enlightenment and love and light, like to shatter that concept and to bring it into this material reality, because that's where we came here for. I'm from another galaxy, but I'm on Earth and I'm proud of it. So to bring it in the day-to-day life, into the small things, to be present in the small things, and to allow yourself to just simply be, and let things happen, let things in life happen for you. And this will start to open you up to your magnetism as a woman. And so, same for you, the Queen's Code changed like so much for me.
Oh my God. Yeah.
The moment I read it, I mean, I've done a couple of things this month. I have painted a abundance portal, so to my inner abundance, to connect with the abundance that I am. And I have read the Queen's Code, which was the guidance from Rosemary, actually. I mean, Ra brought it, and I was like, Queen's Code. Then I was sitting with Rosemary, and she said, "My sweet child, it's time for you to accept that you're a woman." And I was like, "What?" I know. And then when I read it, I understood what she meant.
Yeah.
So very powerful. Thank you so much for bringing that into my life. I am so grateful. And yeah, after that, just wanted to say I went viral on TikTok. The men on the street are looking at me very strangely. And I used to be invisible. I always wondered, why am I invisible? Why does nobody talk to me or like not even notice me? And things are changing. I'm not going out so much right now because I'm still in my hibernating phase, but I'm excited to see the changes. And I'm noticing as well how deeply programmed I am to think poorly of men and to be needing to do everything by myself. So I think that having a community of women who are on the same path would
Yeah.
help me a lot, to exchange our experience and to have really this deeply loving, supportive community around, in these times of change is so crucial. I really think that we do need a lot of that. So thank you for being of service, for doing that beautiful work. And is there anything else that you would like to add or say for the women and men who are going to listen to this? Um, I'm opening up the mic again for you.
Yeah. A friend of mine gave me this kind of mantra this last summer when we were talking a lot about this, about femininity and masculinity and trusting the universe and going through these huge death and rebirth portals and how uncomfortable it can be and how terrifying and that feeling of like, oh, I need to make things happen. I need to do. It's like, no, no, like you're already whole. We're already whole. And so his reminder, his gift to me was the phrase, relax into wholeness. And that's something that I just remind myself occasionally of like, okay, like I can just relax into wholeness. Like right now, I can just sit here and I can just like, oh, I'm already whole. Everything's perfect. Like even if I think it isn't, it is, I'm whole. And I can just relax and relax into that sense of wholeness. And, that's what a woman is that sense of wholeness of like the universe in our wombs and the ability to birth new life and to feed the new life. And everything like that's wholeness. And if we can just relax as women into our bodies and into our power and into our love and our pleasure and our joy and our radiance, it changes reality. It changes your entire life. And I experienced this year, and it's fucking insane
Yeah,
because my mind is
yeah.
constantly being blown. And just like I've magnetized a relationship with our mutual friend who introduced us because he's like, you guys need to talk. And it's the most amazing relationship of my life. And I didn't even, I kind of, I hoped it was possible, but I didn't believe because I'd never experienced it. And like the levels of connection and fun and pleasure and intimacy and vulnerability and on his part, like the consistency and the safety, and also on my part, and the healing. It's so healing, but in a fun way, not in the karmic shitty slog of like fighting your demons and shit. It's like so much fun and so beautiful. And I didn't really know it was possible until recently, until like a month or two.
I'm so happy for you. Ah, I
So
know that I'm preparing myself for this as well. I can feel it in the air. I can feel it. I can feel him in the air.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I'm grateful that you, as a strong, powerful woman, are being here saying, because Ra is much younger than you as well, and he's
here.
super hot.
He's super out and
Like
he
he just,
he resisted me for a while. When we first met, I was like, okay, like we're equals and equal consciousness, and we have a shit ton in common, and we have fun together, and we're safe for each other. And like, I want more than just a friendship. And he's like, no, no, I'm not attracted to you. You're too old. He said it nicely, but that was the vibe. And I was like, okay, like you're still blinded by your trauma because he has mother wounding. And I was like, and I could see, it's like, okay, like you can't see me yet, and I'll still love you. And if this is your capacity to meet me just as friends, okay, I accept that. I want more. And and so we continued our friendship with like, lots of cuddling and physical intimacy, but non-sexual. And I just kept showing up in safety, in love, and not trying to extract anything, not trying to get him to like validate me by wanting to have sex with me, like all those games that I used to play. I let
mm,
go of them all, and I just kept opening and surrendering and loving. And eventually it took about 2 months. And then like we actually processed some of his wounding.
you
Um,
just stopped.
what's that? Oh,
I
just
just stopped. I want to you repeat, play. You said it took about 2 months, and then
It took about 2 months until we processed like some of his fears of aging and of getting older and in his own mortality. and then also like his fear of being ugly and awkward, which I struggled with for a lot of years too. And finally, like he kind of healed some things that were still that he hadn't fully claimed back into love for himself. And then he was able to see me for the first time and like and open to me on a deeper level. And it's been fucking amazing. It's so amazing. But it's like we're not ready.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
You're spilling the news here for me.
This is new.
It's
This
like
is
one of my best friends. He kept it, he didn't tell me anything, but we haven't talked. So I'm like, oh,
yeah.
because I knew it. I told him, you're gonna meet somebody, and it will be completely different to everything you have ever known, and you will just know it. And it will not be like this freaking games. And I told him, it's time for you to look at a woman and not a girl, because you're only looking for girls and not women.
Yeah.
So I was just waiting, but I'm like so happy for you, honestly. Oh my God.
Yeah. But it's so fascinating how we have to. I mean, I wasn't ready for it either before a few months ago, like before reading the Queen's Code. And I also got under some of my toxic shame of I had this voice within me, this like evil, dark voice when I was processing another person not seeing me, not wanting me the way I wanted them. And the voice said to me, is like, you're disgusting. You're a fool to think he could ever love you or want you. And I was like, whoa, like I have this evil entity voice that was passed down to me because I don't think I'm disgusting. Like I know I'm not. Like I've been like, oh, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not thin enough, but I don't think I'm disgusting. And so when I finally heard that shame voice, I was like, oh, like that's not true. And it really healed a lot of my insecurities and unworthiness.
Wow.
And before getting under that shame voice, I wouldn't have talked to Rob because he's so fucking hot. I would have been like, oh, that guy's too hot for me. He would not be interested in me anyways, and so I'm just not even going to make eye contact. But I had healed that, so I was willing to show up and be like, no, I'm fucking awesome. And like, are you awesome? Yeah,
Wow.
awesome, great. We're awesome. We're good mirrors, like awesome. And it's just gotten better and better.
Oh my God. I just got goosebumps all over my body. You're definitely mirroring something back that I have been hearing as well during the Rosemary journey now. I have realized that I took on um, from older relationships where they told me that I am disgusting, where they told me that I am crazy, they told me that like all of these things that I believed. So I became aware of that, and I was like, oh my God, like, and I also had this belief that I cannot have it all. I cannot have a
Mhm.
hot and intelligent and spiritual and providing man. I cannot have it. So to break down and those belief systems, if you can do that with a friend or with a community, that is so much easier.
Mhm.
And I still don't have that because I'm also still opening up to share myself. But and I had to overcome like also this sister wound of when I open myself and be vulnerable, how people have used that against me in a very, very strong way. And it just happened to me again. So but I feel that it happened to me to say, okay, again, but this time it's like, oh, okay, I can have compassion, but it won't stop me from believing in love and from opening up, because now I know that I am on a frequency where I will attract um, beings into my life that are going to support me because I am supporting myself. For the
Mhm.
first time in my life, I'm pouring into myself and I am giving myself from this full cup. And I think that that is the radiance of a woman.
Mhm.
Fill your cup first,
Mhm.
accept yourself as you are, see yourself for who you truly are. Don't try to fake anything. Don't try to be someone you're not. Don't compare yourself to others. Think about what you want. What the fuck do you want? And claim it.
Yeah.
Claim it. This is the radiance of a woman. And I'm happy to talk to a freaking radiant, amazing woman, and that you're sharing, that my friend is sharing that energy. Finally, I know that it will heal him and it will propel him into a freaking new dimension.
Yeah.
And I'm super happy.
And I want to say, yes, you can get everything that you want. As a woman, all the things that we want, and we're like, is that even possible? Maybe I'm asking too much. No, you can get everything that you want. And I'm telling you because I'm sitting in it right now. And the other thing is that, oh shit, what was the other one? You can get everything you want, and I lost it. So I guess that's the main take home, is that you can get everything that you want and you're deserving of it. And you need to believe that you're worthy of it first. And you need to accept yourself completely and love yourself, even all the dark, parts that you don't like and that you're ashamed of, blah, blah. Like, we really do need to love ourselves in wholeness for us to be able to even show up to be loved.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
the other thing I was gonna say is I somehow I don't have the sister wound. And throughout my life, I've been good friends with some of the most beautiful women who, like, no other woman will be friends with them because they're so beautiful, and the other one would be like competitive and bullshit. And so, like, I'm actually a very good person. If you have sister wounds, like, I am a safe woman and I love women deeply. And I just I find that in my life I've been that woman for other women, of like a safe friend who doesn't backstab and who doesn't compete and who doesn't project whatever shit. And it's so important to heal that wound, because if we don't have our sisters, like, we can't go anywhere. Like, the women need other
Yeah.
women. And so healing that
Yeah.
sisterhood wound is fundamental for you expanding into your full power and capacity and magic.
Yes.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree. And I had that feeling with you from the beginning. I mean, it was we were talking and I was just seeing myself. Like it doesn't happen to me a lot where I'm just like, oh my God, this is somebody that is completely on the same frequency as I do, that has the same values. And it's really about also recognizing that in yourself. Like, what are your values? And I think that we have the same values of just being honest, being accepting. Um, oh, if you see something, owning your own shit and working on it, not projecting it onto the other, and of support. And I really am tired of anything else, and I'm not allowing that any longer in my life.
No, we don't need to. We
So
get to say
thank you
no.
for your.
And Ra and I, we call each other healing partners, because, like, we're also business partners, and we're not yet like full long-term, devoted partners, which I want. And I communicated that to him, and whether that's him or somebody else, I'm fine. But he's not there yet, which we'll see. I think it's kind of funny. But we call our relationship, we call it a celebration ship, because we're here to celebrate each
Oh,
and to play and to heal and to
oh.
have fun, like, not just to slog through, but, and I think all of our friendships and relationships, they should all be celebration ships. Like, let's celebrate each other.
Yay, yay. I totally agree. Yes to that. Aho, aho, hermanita. Super nice. Well, it was super nice to talk to you. I would love to continue. Maybe we can have a part two. Um, and see what the talking stick wants to talk about next time. I would really like to have you on again.
I would love that.
And yeah, maybe with a better connection.
Yes, but I think, yeah,
Because we have been interrupted a couple of times where you have said some really important things, but just for the ones who are listening and you're triggered by that, everything is happening behind the words. You have you have received the energy, you have received the frequency. Um, we are stepping into time where it's not really a lot about what people say, but look at what people are doing and who they are. Like, what are they showing you with deeds and with their own lives? What is happening in their own lives? And stop just listening to what they say. Because all of those masks about the people that are saying a lot of beautiful things, but there's no substance behind it and not the frequency behind it, are going to be shown this year and are going to be starting to fall off, because that's the old reality that we're stepping out of. So if you're triggered by the pauses, breathe, feel the frequency, and enjoy it. Enjoy the rest. And there's so much gold that has been shared by this beautiful woman today. And I'm grateful and happy to have had you on my radio station. And the talking stick is beyond excited to meet you. And I love your medicine. It's very, very powerful. Thank you.
Thank you.